What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a major update to the potential Liverpool takeover situation that I'm reporting on. I made a couple of videos earlier in this month and you guys said that you want to be kept in the loop to keep you guys updated, and the PGA Tour reached a deal with FSG for a $3 billion injection, and that opened the door for a co-investment with Saudi Arabia, because this was reported earlier this year that FSG, the whole investment group, invested $3 billion into the PGA Tour, and that has left the door open to co-investment from Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. And earlier this month, just 10 days ago or 8 days ago, it was reported that FSG are in talks with Saudi Arabian owners of Newcastle over a new partnership, and this partnership could be an £800 million investment into a non-Liverpool related venture. But now it has emerged that Saudi Arabia could be even interested in buying Liverpool, which is what this video is all about. So if you enjoy these updates, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and turn on the bell notification so you never miss the latest videos that I upload every day. So the £2.3 billion investment into the PGA Tour came in the form of a creation of a new commercial venture, PGA Enterprises, which allow players to become equity holders in the project, and this would also permit co-investment from the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund in the future, and that is now coming to fruition. And they are the owners of Newcastle, and ESPN reported that talks took place last week in New York between John Henry and the Saudis, along with Tiger Woods and golfer Adam Scott. That is an interesting development for golf and for Liverpool due to the nature of FSG's relationship with the PIF, who owns 85% of Newcastle. The relationship between Liverpool and Newcastle owners would need to be at least cooperative for the Saudi-backed Live Golf Tour to merge with the FSG-led PGA Tour, because that's what these talks are all about. And it will be intriguing to see how this could affect Liverpool's behavior around Premier League's issues and Newcastle's behavior around the issues, including votes on rule changes and issues relating to profit and sustainability rules, with potential conflicting interests in the different sports. Because Liverpool's interests don't really align with the Newcastle owners' interests, at least in the Premier League. But maybe Liverpool will vote more in favor of issues that favor Newcastle United because of FSG's involvement with the Saudis. How does that make you feel? Because I don't like this. But now, in a stunning twist, Keith Winers, former Everton CEO, has said that the Saudi Arabian owners of Newcastle could even sell Newcastle and buy Liverpool in a stunning twist. And that could be mentioned in these talks as well. So Evan Kingsbury, a journalist in the UK, is reporting that Everton's former chief executive Keith Winers has insisted that Newcastle United owners, the PIF, the Saudi Investment Fund, would have to sell, of course, Newcastle to invest in Liverpool, because you can't own two clubs in the Premier League. And speaking on the new edition of Football Insider's podcast, he said that, of course, we are a long way away from a Saudi takeover at Liverpool becoming a reality, but it's a distinct possibility. And this guy was the CEO at Everton between 2004 and 2009, and he now runs a football consultancy advising elite clubs. And according to him, PIF would have to sell Newcastle if they were to come in at Liverpool and to be Liverpool owners, or even if they invest in Liverpool and become part owners, they would have to sell Newcastle. But we are a long way from seeing how that would play out. At the moment, there are lots of rumors that I'm hearing, he said, because the Saudis, they've got lots of money, and when you have money, all these rumors fly about. You are either taking over golf, as they are doing with Live Golf, or taking over all sorts of sports. And dual investment is not unheard of in the Premier League, because the Chelsea owners have Saudi Arabian part ownership. And you have to argue that Newcastle are basically owned by the state of Saudi Arabia, and Chelsea are part owned by the state of Saudi Arabia as well, because the Chelsea, investment group like 20 or 25% of that investment group is owned by the Saudi Arabian investment fund, which is owned by the Saudi Arabia, the state. So how would you feel if the PIF actually invested into Liverpool like 20-30%? That would definitely be a conflict of interest in my opinion. But if the Premier League allowed that Chelsea got 20-25% investment from Saudi Arabia and Newcastle are 85% owned by Saudi Arabia, then I don't see a reason why they wouldn't allow Liverpool to be partially invested into from Saudi Arabia. I don't really understand why they are doing this apart from sports washing and just trying to get their image to be washed clean by lots of fans, of course, praising them, which I'm not gonna do. I'm against state ownership. I'm against all forms of state involvement in the Premier League and in sports in general. I think it's a really bad look, an awful idea. And the Premier League basically sold its soul for money when they allowed the states to buy football clubs, when they allowed Manchester City to be bought by the United Arab Emirates and Abu Dhabi, when they allowed Newcastle to be bought by Newcastle. The Premier League lost its soul. It sold its soul for money, and the repercussions are, unthinkable. We already see these major lawsuits against Manchester City, and the Premier League is on a very slippery slope if they allow this to continue. That's just my opinion. Let me know what is yours. How do you see state ownership in football? Would you be happy if Saudi Arabia became part owners of Liverpool? Would you be happy if they invested into Liverpool? Of course, getting more money into Liverpool would be a good thing, but if it's dirty money, if it's coming from Saudi Arabia, I'm not really feeling good about it, I will be honest. I definitely don't want to be owned by Saudi Arabia or Qatar or the United Arab Emirates or any of these mega rich countries, because I think, as I said, state ownership is not good for football, it's not good for the Premier League. I just want FSG to spend a little bit more on transfers, because in general they have been pretty decent owners so far, albeit with lacking in the transfer market. I mean, West Ham have a higher net spend than Liverpool in the past 10 years, which says it all on how much FSG are spending at Liverpool on transfers. And I also want to explore this investment by FSG into the PGA Tour, why they invested into the PGA Tour and how FSG led the investment. So it wasn't just FSG, it was a consortium of North American sports owners called Strategic Sports Group, who stepped in line to close a deal worth up to $3 billion that reshaped professional golf. And John W. Henry wound up being the American who stepped up first to invest in the PGA Tour, making the decision to do so after watching two PGA Tour executives get grilled in a US Senate hearing about the PGA Tour's framework agreement with the Saudi Arabian PIF. The story of how the investment came about touches upon international political, financial, human rights, and cultural concerns, and it features Henry hopscotching around half the globe. He traveled to Saudi Arabia twice, to Florida, to the Bahamas, to LA, back to New York, to create and then sell PGA Tour enterprises. And this investment group, the Strategic Sports Group, pitched the new PGA Tour enterprises as a quasi-in-house consulting firm where John W. Henry, of course the owner of Liverpool and the Boston Red Sox, the Falcons owner Arthur Blank, and the Mets owner Steve Cohen, or any other member could offer expertise and advice for the tour. And Henry initially indicated it could mark the final asset addition for FSG, with him saying that the group is not looking to grow at this point. I hate to say that on record, but we've got our hands full with Boston, Liverpool, the PGA Tour, the Pittsburgh Penguins, NASCAR real estate. And there were even rumors that FSG would be interested in buying the Boston Celtics, which of course was met by huge uproar from the Boston Celtics fans. And I think that says it all. In Boston, Gatlin Kubro wrote on behalf of Boston sports fan, "John, we are begging you, stay the hell away from our basketball team. With the news that the Celtics will be put up for sale by their majority owner, This Boston Celtics fan wrote, Henry's potential ownership of one of the most iconic and successful basketball franchises in history would be nothing short of a disaster for everyone involved. Here's hoping that the Henry Corporation focuses its efforts elsewhere on the basketball front. Las Vegas, Seattle, just anywhere but Boston. So this is a Boston Celtics fan who is seeing what John W. Henry and FSG are doing to the Boston Red Sox, the lack of investment really eroding the team, and they are getting worse every year. The Pittsburgh Penguins in the NHL are not doing much better either. And of course, Liverpool have been doing pretty well, but that was mainly down to the genius of Jurgen Klopp and the genius of the recruitment team. Of course, they were appointed by FSG, so they deserve some credit. But I think we can all agree that if you just look at the investment that FSG did into Liverpool, the success has been coming in spite of the small investment and not because of the investment that FSG have put into Liverpool FC. And there are a lot of pros and cons when it comes to assessing FSG's ownership. I talked a lot about the negatives and the lack of spending, but I also want to highlight the positives because I want to have a balanced argument. Of course, I'm not an FSG apologist, far from it. You have seen me criticize FSG many times in previous videos, but I think it's fair to say that they deserve some credit as well because they created a self-sustaining football club which can compete at the top level with the other elite clubs. Now Liverpool's revenues are one of the top 10 highest in the world, and we can reinvest that revenue into the team, and we can have a very high wage bill because of our revenue, and that very high wage bill is as important as paying big money for big transfers, because if you don't have a high wage bill, you just can't keep your big stars, and you can't actually build a very good team full of world-class players. If you don't give them high salaries, they will not stay at Liverpool, they will leave, or they will not even sign for Liverpool. And yes, it's true, when FSG bought Liverpool were in a lot of debt, almost 400 million pounds in debt, and FSG have cleared this. There has been some debt which has been rising in recent years, but that is due to many factors, and I'm not a financial expert to say that it's only the owner's fault because there was COVID and all kinds of issues around football. But yes, FSG have, with smart calculated investments into the right people at the right time, created a fantastic football club in Liverpool. I think this modern Liverpool is much better than Liverpool it was when they took over. And they have made it sure that Liverpool will be able to continue for years to come, even if for some reason Liverpool fall on hard times financially and economically. Liverpool will be in a very healthy position, and a lot of top clubs in England are willing to spend to the limit of the financial fair play rules, which is an average of £105 million losses in a 3-year rolling period, just to be competitive. Yes, some of those owners might get bored and sell those football clubs. If the Man City owners sold Man City, then the Man City as we know it, the modern Man City, would be finished. They would not be able to compete at the top level. They wouldn't have the revenues that the owners, of course, artificially inflated. They wouldn't have the revenues anymore to compete at the top level, to sign the top players, to keep the top players. And that's why I'm really hoping that Man City will get properly punished, because then we will see whether the owners will stick around, the Man City owners will stick around in the Championship or in League 1 or in League 2. But of course we have to wait for the verdict first. What I definitely don't want is an owner like Man City's owner or PSG's owner. I also don't want an owner like the Chelsea owner, who is just playing like Monopoly and Football Manager at the same time with Chelsea. They are signing like 10-15 players every single year, and it's an absolute clown show. It's a circus at Chelsea. Like, they have 15 players who won't even be able to train with the first team because they have so many players. I want Liverpool to keep in line with the traditions, the history of the football club, the history of the city in some way at least. I always want Liverpool to at least have in the squad, in around the first team, some first team players who have real connection to Liverpool. So either youth academy players or players that were, Liverpool fans and joined Liverpool at a very young age. Players like Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Conor Bradley, Jarrell Kwanzaa. We have so many Liverpool players who were signed either at a very young age or who have been growing up in the Liverpool Youth Academy. And I also want Liverpool to be responsible with their spending. We don't want to spend £200 million every summer and then Liverpool go bankrupt in chasing trophies and titles. But I think we can all agree that Liverpool should spend a little bit more money just to make Liverpool better, because not signing a midfielder is a huge risk that Liverpool took in the summer. Once again, one of many risks that Liverpool took in the last 5 to 10 years in the transfer market. And of course, we have to wait and see whether it is paying off or not. We have to wait until January to assess and judge that. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I tried to give you guys my honest opinion on the situation as well. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.